You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. Goes by the name of Brett Berish. Welcome, sir.
Who is Brett Berish?
We're about to find out.
Tell me who is Brett Berish?
He bought a
Why
lot
you
of
sitting there
liquor
with all
this
this
morning.
liquor?
And I see him all the time on social media with people like Rick Ross, with Young Thug. I know you were with Lil Wayne yesterday.
I know. I know you're. That's not true. You never. No one cares about me. No one sees me.
I've seen you sit down and do some
We saw you
interviews.
all the time, but we just don't know who you are.
Y'all better tell him who he is before people stop caring.
No.
Who are you, sir?
No. Hold on. So, as an example of not caring, I was in Miami yesterday, and I had the opportunity to sit with Mr. Maurizio and Papa Keith. Mm-hmm. Walked in the building, and they said, "Are you the messenger to pick up the package?" So I'm nobody.
That's our station
You don't
in
look like
Miami.
a messenger.
That's okay.
You don't strike me as a messenger.
Not a messenger.
No, I'm fortunate. I own a company which is called Sovereign Brands.
Mm-hmm.
My mom named it. Sovereign means on your own, independent. You're on an island. It's you. And I'm fortunate that I've had pretty phenomenal success in building brands in the wine and spirits industry.
You sell booze.
I sell booze. I drink. I'm drinking now. I sell booze.
What's some of your lines that for people who don't know?
In the past, it's been Ace of Spades, Armand de Brignac, Doucet. Today, it's Belaire, which is, as crazy as it sounds, it's the fastest growing premium bubbles in the world. It's in 100 countries. It was only launched a couple years ago. My newest is Bamboo. For those of you who don't know it, it's a rum.
It's good.
It's amazing. Just drink it. Just taste it. It's won the most gold medals for any new product in the category.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a sweetness to it.
It does.
Rum is supposed to be sweet, too. I love rum.
Oh, it's the best. It's from 8 different sugar canes from 8 different countries. It's aged 15 years. It's got a big, long cork. I wanted to make you feel like you're biting it. You want to pop it from the bottle. It's got a big X on the label. It's pretty neat. And now we got Wayne on board, who's a huge fan. We were down in Miami filming a skit with him, which it was hysterical. It's going to be amazing to get out to the market. And it was Wayne having fun, and seeing Wayne have fun is an amazing thing.
Right.
So why are you showing your face? If you got all the rappers endorsing you now, why pop out and show people that it's me?
I think I'm a big believer. I make mistakes. I learn. I think it's realizing where I've come, and I've got this program that we're doing called Self-Made Tastes Better, with artists that I'm a huge fan of, and I'm realizing kind of where I've come from, what I've done based on having conversations with them, and I feel like I'm learning to have a voice and to share my experience of both from a business perspective, success and all the crap I went through, and all the people who said you couldn't do it, and to the success side. And now I feel like, especially for the business community out there, I think the hip hop world is a huge opportunity, and I've been fortunate to be a part of it, and I think they can follow our lead and how we're reacting and treating and working with artists, because they have a huge voice that everyone benefits, and it's not happening.
Now, Brett, I have to ask you this. Since we're talking about these brands, I think it's important for you to step forward and talk about your experience as an entrepreneur, because there are a lot of artists who are trying to get into this space of spirits, right? So how is it that you got started as far as owning Sovereign Brands?
Well, I think it's a few things, and we could go on for days on it. I think it's, one, me having a love of brands. I wanted to be in brands. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think I'm that typical entrepreneur out there who has lots of ideas, and it wasn't until I made a decision, not early. I mean, this was in my 30s. I was lost for years of figuring out what I want, because I always had lots of ideas. And it wasn't until I just said, screw it, pick one and just focus on it. That was the big difference. And then I think the second thing was just go out and do it and commit to it. And don't it's not about the money. And I had this discussion with Rhapsody as an example, which I'm a huge fan of, and this was with Self-Made. And she made this comment on how as long as I'm making music, as long as I can get to the studio, as long as
Drunk?
no, not yet. As long as I can get to the studio, I'm going to be happy. And if I can put out music, and for me, it was the same thing. It's this idea of I don't need a lot. I don't want a lot. As long as my brand works and I can pay for itself and I can keep growing it, I'm happy. If you've got these grandiose ideas, you're never going to get there. If you think too big in the sense of I need it now, it doesn't work. And those are
Patience is important.
Is critical.
And it's all about what you need, though. Like what you said is very important. You said you don't need much. Like if you need to make $1 billion,
no,
you'll never be happy and satisfied.
That's the funny thing. I think when I think of brands, and in my space, Patron was sold for $4 billion.
To Bacardi, right?
Correct. And when you think about it, gosh, they were having fun. That's a 30-year-old brand. I remember it in high school, and I'm old. It was fun when it was a 2-year brand and a 3-year brand and a 4-year brand. You don't need to think about it from that grandiose perspective.
Maybe like Casamigos, with George Clooney started.
That's a fun. You can't get lost in that crap.
Yeah, none of the numbers. You can't get lost in those numbers.
You can't. That's if Casamigos is, and that was sold for I think $700 million plus an earnout. Then I'm a billionaire. But I don't think like that.
You enjoy the process.
Correct. You have to. And I think to get back to your question, Charlamagne, it's about thinking about where I am in that process. Don't get ahead of it. It's not. I've asked this question. Keith asked me this question yesterday. Do you think about getting out? Do you think about selling? I never think about that because it's about the brand. If that stuff happens, great, but that's not why I'm in this.
How do you decide which artists you want to work with? Like you mentioned Duce and Ace of Spades. We know you have a collaboration. Do you still have a collaboration with those liquors with Jay, or was it sold to Jay?
No. So Ace is amazing. Jay is clearly the god of everything. Sold our interest in Ace maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of the artist, it's organic for me. It's a relationship.
Right.
I look at it's like marriage. It's not a corporate company saying, gosh, who can make a difference for me, and let's put it on the board and figure out what makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's an organic relationship that just starts. It's meeting somebody, getting to know them. They love the brand. That's the key. If they're not Khaled, when I met Khaled for the first time, it's because he was a fan of the brand for years. Rick, same thing. When I met Rick for the first time in person and we talked, Rick Ross, mm-hmm. He was a fan of the brand.
I always think of Belaire and Rick Ross together.
And you should. It's great.
Yeah, initially, I always saw Rick Ross, Black Bottle Boys, and
it's great. But the beauty of Rick, I think from two perspectives. One, for all the artists out there, and again, I'm a fan of the business side of people. I can't look to Warren Buffett as my inspiration. I look to artists, because I think it's an individual starting something. Rick, two things. I think Rick, one, is he's a promoter in a way that's natural. And I think artists can look to him and see an inspiration as somebody it's cool. It's part of his lifestyle. I've never had a conversation saying, hey, Rick, promote. He's doing it on its own. And that's a natural, organic thing. And the second is it's a stamp of approval. I think I'm giving the corporate world to look at Rick and say, hey, this is a guy we can get behind. Look what he's doing. And I think that's a positive thing. We kill it in Vietnam with Belaire as an example. Kill it. We're the number one sparkling in Vietnam. No one knows who Rick is. That's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm bringing Rick to Vietnam.
Is it true that Fabulous was supposed to have a stake in Belaire at one time and he turned it down? Is that true?
No, but okay. But Fab is an example. I had an interview. He's on our series, season 2 with Self-Made. Fab is another artist. I've met Fab years ago. It's an organic relation, Envy. I want to work with people where there's this there's a relationship.
I thought Belaire was genius because it needed it in the market. You know what I mean? Ace of Spades was too expensive for a lot of people, and the only thing that people had was Moet. and I think it was. I don't want to call it a Moet killer, but it was perfect competition for Moet, and it worked.
And for me, it's a great point. For me, it was I looked at the category, and you've got an 800-pound gorilla, which is Moet, which owns everything from Krug and Dom and Vouv and Moet, and they own the category. But there's other little guys out there who are producing great product, and we can give them a name. We can get it out there. And for me, it was the same exact thing. I know how to make a better product. I know the consumer is looking for a better product, something that they can say. My dad, I love my father, who's 80 plus years old, has an expression, you can't buy cool. And we are cool. I want cool brands, and Moet is buying cool. And for me, as a consumer, that's not me. I want to discover brands. I want to find it. That's what Belaire is.
Now, do you come from money?
I lived well. I'm very fortunate.
Like, did your parents have money?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
They did. But I think more importantly, I had, and again, using my father as an example, he hated the fact that I was doing this business. He didn't want me to do this. He wanted me to be in finance. I hated finance. I actually went into finance, my first job. I quit and moved to Asia and lived in Taiwan, Singapore, and Hong Kong, and started studying Chinese. I didn't know what I wanted. I knew I wanted brands, and I knew I liked products.
And you like to drink.
And I love to drink. It's never too early to drink. It's only too late to drink.
I was waiting for you to pop open the bottle for us.
And you should see our latest, which is which is Lux Rosé, which is our newest. It was launched last week with, I don't know if you saw it, with Young Thug.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's in a video.
And Keith asked me yesterday, and he's a great
We actually talked about that with Young Thug up here on the Breakfast Club.
I love what Keith asked me yesterday, because he said, why would you do it with him? Like, there's controversy with him. He's different. Why would you do it?
Different.
He is in many ways. I am like him. I think differently. I do things differently. I need to stand out, but it's a natural thing. Meaning, it's in me.
It's not contrived.
No,
I can't
not at
think
all.
of anybody better to do a pink bubbly drink with than Young Thug.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or
I'm
not.
being honest.
Yeah, but it wasn't from, hey, let's go get Thug. It wasn't that. It was, I met Young Thug for the first time at Rick Ross's 40th birthday in Atlanta at his estate, and I told him I'm a huge fan, and he's like, this is the guy who did this and this, and he told his team. Lior was there, and we just started talking. And to me, he embodied, again, I get pieces from all the artists that to me are special, whether it's Rhapsody, who became something late in life, or whether it's Nipsey Hussle, who had a business sense all his life, or whether
G
it's
Herbo, who's from Chicago, like you.
He is, and he's another great example of he is what I say, and this is me learning. So to give you an example of Herbo, we talked. We were a fan. He's from Chicago, as I am. Herbo, I don't know if you know, got in some trouble.
Yeah, he was arrested.
He was arrested. And I remember calling Sam in my office on a weekend, and I'm like, Sam, you see this stuff about Herbo? And he saw, and I'm like, Sam, I don't want to be that guy who walks away, because we were having conversations with he and his team. Yeah. I don't want to be that.
Yeah, a company will cut ties with you once you get into some trouble.
It's not cut ties. It's we didn't even have a tie yet. Mm-hmm. And my approach was, let's help this kid. This is I've never met him. I want to meet him. And we didn't meet his team yet. We met an intermediary. I can't remember the name of the company, but we ended up literally going on the internet and trying to reach his lawyer on the weekend, saying, how can we help this guy? How can we help this kid? Let's talk to him. And then we met with his team, and I sat with him, and I told him, look, I want to work with you, and I'm honest. I think, but if you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing, I can't.
Yeah, but you know what's hypocritical about that? Like, you hear these guys' music. So it's just like, you got to know what you're getting in business with. You have to know it's an opportunity, or it's a chance that it's going to be some drugs, it's going to be some weed, might be a gun. It's going to happen.
But that's agreed, and I get it. And the point is, I'm embracing that. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference, is I'm not looking... I can't change the past, but I think I can change the future. And I think I can be a positive. You asked me, why am I here? I think I can be a positive influence. I think I can show an artist, look, this is the corporate side. The corporate side is positive for you. It can make a difference for you. I'm giving you a platform to now speak. You're now part of our family, which is Rick Ross and Khaled and Clue and all our DJs and out there. But now you got to do something with it.
Right.
But
Be
if I'm just
responsible.
correct, but if I'm placating to them and I'm telling them what they want to hear, that's not that I'm not
Like,
getting
I'm sure
anything.
no artist wants to be in jail and wants to get arrested and wants to get in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with all that, but guess what? Sometimes these corporations will break ties with you just because of your lyrics.
Sure, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Use Ross as an example. When Ross got in trouble in Atlanta, I went down to the courthouse when he was being arraigned, and I was shocked. I was shocked for the fact that so few people were there.
Nobody was there.
No one was there, which is weird. The only people who were there, and I hate to say this, were attorneys, but it felt like ambulance chasers seeing an opportunity to say, how can I step in this guy's place? But for me, it was, Jesus, this guy is if a friend has done something bad, your goal is, how can I help him?
Right.
That's the first goal. How can I help? When I went to jail, I saw Ross, and what's amazing was, and I talked about it with Ross afterwards. He literally, his sister Renee says to me, Brett, you got to talk to Rick. He's got to think about it from his perspective. And she rolls up this napkin that she had in her hand, and written on it was this guy's phone number for his wife that Rick met in jail. And Rick's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about some dude he met in jail where he wants to help and get him out. And this is her number. Tell her her husband's okay. But that's Rick thinking like this. It's not about Rick is in jail. But I went in, and my conversation is, Rick, you can't do this. You know, you got to separate yourself from this. You know, you're above this. You don't need to be around it. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's my job to be honest, and I think that's a positive thing. It's my job to support him. He supported me, and that's what happened.
Why did you sell your shares of Ace of Spades and Douce? Because you seem like somebody that, you say you're not in it for the money, so I don't think it was the money. Why did you feel like, especially with the brand increasing and growing the way that it was?
I think a few things. I think one, Jay provided me all the opportunity that I have going forward, which is huge financially. Right. And it was a combination of things. I think one, it's an amazing brand, Ace, and he's going to do wonderful things with it. And at some point, someone can do better with it. And I had Belaire. That was the next brand for me. I knew Bamboo was coming, which is a 10-year-old brand that we started years ago in terms of development. I knew I had other ideas. And it gets back to your point of, of the question of focusing on one thing. Mm-hmm. So I've always been focused on one brand. It's one brand at a time until I realized, I can do two brands at a time. And now I've got new brands coming. So I was ready for more, and that was a positive.
What's next for Belaire, and what's next for your company?
It's a bunch. I think I have new brands coming. We're going to enter, which is crazy. We're going to enter the beer category. My philosophy, maybe it's a positive or a negative. I want to try the ideas that we have. I tell everybody in my team, it's not about whose idea it is. It's about executing good ideas. That's what this is about. Mm-hmm. And I forgot. And if it doesn't work, we're just going to drink it.
Okay,
that's the goal.
I heard you have a new gin coming.
We have a gin coming, which is going to kill it. I'm a consumer of a product. I started liking gin, and we started thinking about how can we make it better. I'm not a celebrity brand. As much as I love Rick and I love Wayne and I love Khaled and all the artists, G Herbo and Dave East and Boogie with the Hoodie, change your name to Artist. That's his real name. I love the name Artist.
Sure you're not a celebrity brand?
No, but my point is I'm a brand first. I'm not in the music business. And I think celebrity brands don't work. If we could have a whole conversation about quote unquote celebrity brands.
I agree.
It's about the brand. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. You guys have a juice bar. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work unless the juice bar is good.
Right.
You have a radio station. You can put anybody on. They can be the most famous artist in the world. It doesn't work unless you have that passion for what you're doing. And it doesn't, if you're an artist singing a song, it could, if it's the weekend, he's got a crappy song, it's not going to sell.
Right.
And I'm in the beverage business, but if I can work with artists and they contribute and I contribute, it's all good. And that's a positive thing.
We got sidetracked from your humble beginnings. You said you went to Asia.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I was there for 5 years. I came back. I was lost. And then it hit me. I'm going to focus on one thing. And I sold my brother, my father. I want to enter the liquor business. I have an idea for a brand. I think it's going to be better than everybody else's. And it was the biggest failure and the biggest success I've ever had.
What was the brand?
It was called 3. The number 3. It was a vodka, and
Was it three olives?
no
or just
3
Okay.
vodka.
That
and
was the vegan vodka
exactly.
you made
It was made.
remember.
It was distilled from soy, way ahead of its time. It tasted better than everybody else. It's
remember.
tattooed on me.
It might work now.
Nah, it didn't taste good. I remember that.
No.
That's the one
I
JD had,
remember, I remember that. It did not taste good. I
No,
remember
yes,
that.
it did.
No, it
No,
didn't.
you got
No,
bad
it
taste then. You got bad taste.
We gotta try
Not
that
for
again.
vodka.
No, trust me, it was better than everybody else's. My problem was, and again, mistakes are the greatest thing in the world because as long as you embrace it
Recover from it?
and recover from it and move on, you get it. And my mistake early on, and there's lots, and I continue to make mistakes, is I didn't trust my gut, and I listened to everybody else, and it kills you. And you got to find your voice. There's a compromise. You can learn from other people. There's no question. You should take it in. But it's the ability to embrace what didn't work and quickly change. And I think, as an example, I talked to, I'm fortunate because I get to talk to corporate America. And I had one CEO of a giant liquor company ask me, for example, Belaire, what's your 5-year plan? I'd be nuts if I had a 5-year plan. It's not how brands work. Brands are like kids. I have my 5th kid coming. You got to figure out what they're interested in and whose audience are they speaking to, and how do you do how do you mold what is working for them and kind of push them in a direction? That's like an artist.
It's ever evolving.
Exactly. And again, getting back to self-made, it's Boogie as an example. I think it was him, or no, actually Russ was saying, like I remember in the beginning he was talking about he had fans in Washington, in the state of Washington. He went and followed them. They like me. They want to hear me. I'm going to go appreciate them and follow them. To me, that's what the hip hop community can be in music, in brands. It's about embracing people who love you and giving a little bit back to them as much as you can, because they're going to love you even more.
Right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us. Before you leave, you got to pop open that bottle of rosé.
Yeah.
So we could taste
We
it.
could try that. And thank you to Sam for setting this up, because Sam has always been really great at making sure we get our
Screw
product
Sam.
up
He's
here.
He's an intern.
He's an intern.
So what happened with 3? Y'all just discontinued it?
Well, one, it's still on my body. It's tattooed on my body. It's a brand that we still own. And it's, like I said, Charlamagne, it's the most important brand in my life.
You
Because
gonna bring it back and let Chance the Rapper endorse it?
that's a good idea. As long as, but my example is Chance. I just met Chance at the No Brainer video, first time. And he was a fan of everything we're doing, and I met Pat as manager. That's us in the sense of, hey, this is who we are. Let's start a relationship, but I can't force that stuff.
Right.
I can't make him like us when he's ready to come. And if he's never ready, I can't control that. But I'm not forcing any of our, I'm the consumer who wants to discover stuff. I'm the consumer. I have a car. Shout out to this brand called Moke, which is this little, basically golf cart that looks like a Jeep that was cut in half.
I know exactly what you're talking about, huh?
I bought it because I love it, and it's cool, and it's different. That's what my brands are. And when I drive around my little town in my little electric car that goes 25 miles an hour, and I can't go faster than that, the reaction I get is amazing. I'm that consumer. I can't force a brand on anybody. You got to find it. You got to discover it. But I will promise you, Go back. I will send you a bottle of 3 because I still have it.
Don't do that. To
I
me.
want to
No,
try
no.
it. I want to try
All
it.
this other good stuff you got.
I would love to
guarantee-
try, I would
Three
love
was
to
good.
try
It's
it.
all
Send me some bamboo.
It's all about the brands. It's all about the taste. You taste our brands. We're better than Moet. We're better than Captain Morgan and Bacardi when it comes to bamboo. Our gin is better than everybody else in the competition. I'm not going to launch anything unless I can taste you on it, and you're going to say, "Wow, this is amazing." Because it's just like an artist. If the song sucks, it's not going to sell. If the artist is the coolest artist in the world and she's showing everything possible, but if the song doesn't work, it's not going to
So
sell.
why didn't 3 sell?
Because I listened to too many people. Because I did everything. I listened to it's like again. I go back to I'm a fan of the industry. Putting a song out. You can listen to the label who's looking at it from a corporate perspective and saying, this is what you should do, and this is how you should do it. And that was my mistake. I didn't listen to myself saying, no, this is how I should do it. I should promote it in a small way and find my audience. And once they like it, I'm going to embrace them. I didn't do it. And I think that's the same thing from an artist. If you're in the music world and you're starting out, your fan is your fan. Who cares who he is? If he's in Nashville, Tennessee, and he's your fan, go embrace them. That's what I didn't do. I listened to everybody else tell me, you know what? Don't put it out yet. Go national. Go huge. Go big. Promote it this way. Belaire, perfect example. When I launched Belaire in New York, I went to the distributor myself. They said, you can't do that. It's not a Brut. Brut is the biggest type of champagne in the category. It's the biggest. It's 5 times bigger than rosé. How can you launch a rosé? No one does that. No one leads with rosé. No one would ever do a black bottle. Should never happen. No one. And you're going to sell no more than 500 cases. We sold 15,000 the first year. We're the most important brand in our distributor's portfolio of sparkling bubbles.
That happened with the Breakfast Club. They told us a morning show with 3 people would equal, said it would never work out. The show's not going to last. And here we are, 8 years later.
That's...
Because it's never been done.
Angie, that's 2 things. I think one is appreciate that. Appreciate
They
that.
definitely said that.
But appreciate
3
that.
people?
Because that's what everyone forgets. And that's why I like telling stories of the crap we all went through to get here. And what's more important is look where you've come.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at the influence you can have. And I think for anybody listening, it's whether it's corporate America, embrace the hip hop community, embrace artists. It's your job to expand your brand to other audiences. But if they're embracing you, give back to them. I said an example to Keith and Maurizio yesterday of Rick Ross. The most expensive gift I've ever been given. It's the most expensive item I've ever I have. Is a Rolex from Rick Ross. He gave me on my. He gave me. I've never given anything. He gave me, and that's the love I have for Rick.
That's crazy. A multi-millionaire like yourself has never bought a Rolex.
No, but when you think about Rolex, who has more? I said this yesterday. Who has more Rolexes, Rick Ross or Roger Federer?
That's Rick Ross.
That's
I'm
crazy.
Rick Ross.
But
I agree.
Rick Ross, but Federer he's the promoter. He's the sponsor. Like that's where something's missing. Where brands like ourselves, and I'm a little guy, can give. It's not giving back. It's good for everybody.
Right.
It's embracing what people. There's an artist, I can't say, there's an artist that we have artists come through all the time. I want to meet people.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from people. And we had an artist come in whose name of their group is based on a brand. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, have you, literally their group, it's like MMG. It's based on Maybach.
Right.
It's a brand.
Very well.
And I've never asked.
Okay. That was an easy one.
Fine.
Go ahead.
But fine.
Fine, forget it.
I said.
You guys, I got to go catch a flight.
Peace.
I'm
Sorry,
going to
Angie, I'm
Vegas.
talking too much.
Okay, no.
you guys
Oh, hold on.
finish.
I have to give a
Remy
shout out
boys.
to you.
Okay.
Yesterday was your day. I heard
Oh,
about it.
yes,
I
thank you.
came back from Miami yesterday. Congratulations.
Angela Yee Day, August 28th.
I'm going to celebrate it all day, and I'm drinking right now. So cheers to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Cheers
Thank
to you.
Brett.
Thank you.
And you had to turn down the Remy Boys because they're called the Remy Boys.
No, but my point was he was at the top of the world.
Right.
He had, I think, 5 number ones. I think he had more than Elvis.
4 or 5, right?
Something
About that.
crazy. And I said, have they reached out to you? And no. And that's shocking.
They didn't like his image or the things he talked about.
It could be a number of things. It could be they're afraid, or they have no idea who he is.
No, they knew who he was. I had an endorsement deal with him. Still do things with him from time.
Were they afraid of being all of a sudden we're pigeonholed in something?
Now, they did some things with him. I know they did.
A few
things
activations.
But at that time, no one had. And my point to him was, it's hard for me. I want to work with you. It's hard for me to work with you. That's the title of your persona.
Right.
And I actually think he changed it to 1738, if more on the number side.
Difference.
Which is same difference.
Same difference.
But the point is I think the hip hop world, I think artists have done so much for brands. And I think it's up to the brands to say, hey, thank you. And it's not that you have to give money, but it's just acknowledging what they're doing. I think when I think of Snoop and or there's so many brands, corporate brands, whether it's Bentley or whether it's Patron or whether it's Cavassier, my God, they owe, in my opinion.
Busta Rhymes and Diddy, yeah.
Yeah, they owe something back to the market, whether it's just saying thank you or it's just reaching out.
Cut a goddamn check. That's what I say.
Yes.
Invest back into the community. My
Correct.
biggest problem with all these corporations nowadays, they get in bed with people in the hip-hop community. They don't really know these people in the hip-hop community. They just know that they're influences in some way, and then when they hear something they don't like or somebody points the finger at something they don't like, they cut ties. That's
correct.
whack,
Correct. And it happens all the time. And I think it's about changing culture. Culture in this respect of who's adding value.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at it from that perspective. Forget race, forget what they're doing, forget anything. Just who's adding value. Right. That's an easy way to think about it. Our team, we have a small team, but we work with DJs all over the country. All over the world.
Shout out to Clue. Clue was one of the first ones I ever seen to start really promoting it and pushing it.
Clue was the first person I called when I said, Clue, there's got to be something more we can start doing with DJs and reaching out to DJs, because these are the guys in the front line.
Absolutely.
These are the guys pushing everything, pushing culture.
That's what makes Ciroc so big. With Diddy did
correct.
The DJ
and
deal.
Shout out to Puff. My God, he put a brand on his shoulders that the biggest liquor company in the world, it didn't work. It didn't work. And it's a good brand. And he put it on his shoulders and said, let's go. And everyone, again, it's sad to say, but it can get pigeonholed, but that's the job of everyone else, to move it in a different direction. To, again, own where you came from.
Right.
Own that. Don't lose that, but build it everywhere else, because that's a real brand. And it's just like our brands. I'm not doing our brand. I will never do a brand unless it's better than everyone else's. There's a story. It's not about the bottle. It's not about the look and feel. That has to add value. It's about the taste. I'm in the liquor business. I'm not in the music business. I'm in the hip-hop world. I'm not in entertainment. But my gosh, if people are adding value to me, I want to reach out to them. I want to do that. I told a story yesterday with Keith and Maurizio about Kodak Black. Kodak put us on, I'd never heard him before. He put us on a mixtape on the artwork. And next thing you know, I heard that we were in a song called Patty Cake. And my dad, who's 80 plus years old, his ringtone is Patty Cake. We're sipping on Belaire. And Kodak got in trouble. And I called Theo, who's his entertainment lawyer, and he introduced me to Alex, who's his manager. And I don't want to be that guy. Here's a guy who literally, he supports our brand. This is great. So what should I do? Should I just walk away and do nothing? No. We reached out. I met Kodak while he was in jail. It was about, hey, I'm out there for you, but I can't have you do this stuff. And it's being honest. I can't. But you have a voice. You have huge followers. People are looking to you. You can do good with this. So now, so that was my goal for that. But it's not about the brand, but at least I got to say thank you. At least I got to say my own opinion. I don't want to be a sycophant and I learned that word, is just to tell you what you want to hear. I want to be somebody who can at least make a difference and be honest. Right. And it's up to him now. It's up to him. but hopefully we can do things. Hopefully, nothing bad will ever happen. But I'm supportive of that, and I think that's a positive thing.
Well, we thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the liquor that you sent.
Why am I the only one drinking?
Because you didn't open that bottle.
It's goddamn 9 o'clock in the morning, and we don't get paid to drink.
Someone said it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So
my goodness.
I like Bamboo. I like this a lot, though. It's really good.
This is.
I had it with my man Sam Sneak. Actually, Ross and Sam Sneak.
Yeah, this is and perfect example. Ross is not even a part of the brand, and if you look, he's supporting the crap out of it.
He damn sure did, because he bought a bottle in here one day, and he was just like, drink.
Oh, this is it. Tommy, his mom, loves the brand. She'll call me. I'll call her. And I talked to Tommy and I talked to his sister Renee more than I talked to Rick. Wow. This is the number. It's got the most gold medals ever. I said this. It's amazing. If you're a cognac drinker, if you're a brown spirits drinker, pina coladas, Mai Tais, this is, I drink it on the rocks at 7 o'clock by myself for 2 hours. I got to get away from the kids and everybody. It's amazing.
Like you got a problem.
I handle my problem very well.
It's Brett Berish. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Cheers to you guys. Thank you.